It's Shushan Purim, we could still have fun. Very good. All right. Erev Tov, everyone. Happy Shushan Purim. We are the end of Shushan Purim. It's nighttime, but we are here in Vancouver. The year is 5774, 2014. The 16th of Adar, I believe. And tonight we're going to be talking about Parashat Shemini.
16 or 17?
I think the
17th is today.
17th, oh, 17th of Adar. Okay.
No, 17th of March.
Oh, 17th of March and 16th of Adar. Okay. We're getting confused. Everything is upside down. Okay. On this happy note, we're going to be speaking about Parashat Shemini, and more specifically, we're going to be speaking about a tragedy that happens in this week's Parashat. As we know, Parashat Shemini speaks about the inauguration of the Mishkan, I believe, and there were 7 days, Yemei Miluim, the 7th days of inauguration, and then the 8th day was a day of celebration. They inaugurated, everything was ready, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu asks the Jewish people, everyone to gather at the entrance of the Mishkan. And as they gather, and everything seems to be great and celebration, lo and behold, there is a tragedy. The two children, on the 8th day, the 2 children of Aaron HaKohen, die. In the midst of this great celebration. So, let's look at the psukim, first of all, and then we'll try to figure out what happened. So it says, Vayikhu b'nei Aaron Nadav v'Avihu, the 2 sons of Aaron, Nadav and Avihu, ish mahtato, each one took his fire pan, vayitenu bahen esh, and they put fire in them, vayasimu aleha ketoret, and they placed the incense upon it. Vayakrivu lifnei Hashem esh zara, and they brought before Hashem an alien fire. Asher lo tziva otam, that he, we talk about God, had not commanded them. Vatetze esh milifnei Hashem, and a fire came forth from before Hashem, vatochal otam, and consumed them, vayamutu lifnei Hashem, and they died before Hashem. A tragedy. Now, many questions are asked about this portion, about these psukim. And we'll ask 2. The first one is, what exactly was the sin of Nadav and Avihu? What did they do wrong? They were serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God.
But he didn't ask for the service.
Oh, very good.
They
So
asked
that,
more than what he asked.
oh,
The question
so,
is this a sin or is just a mistake?
oh,
Because they're 2 different things.
wow. The fact is very good. Is this a sin or is this a mistake? The fact is, if they didn't, in their position, if they did something that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not ask them to do, it was a sin. God told them, do A, you have to do A. Do B, you have to do C, do C. Do this, you have to do that. If you deviate, there's a problem.
It's like they were overzealous.
But, okay, very good. They were overzealous, okay.
That's a few things here. First of all, Aaron was supposed to do that, not the children, because this is the first time.
Yeah,
He was the Kohen Gadol.
yeah.
And they came forward, they did it. Instead of the father.
No, but okay. No, but everyone was there. The fact is Aaron was there and he was supposed to do the avodah, but it was them as well. Why? Because Moshe, when he appointed Aaron, he appointed also his sons.
Right. But
So
Aaron,
since-
Aaron was the first one, the father is to be the first to do that.
Fine, but the inauguration, in order to show that these are the Kohanim that were appointed, you can't have only Aaron. It has to
No,
be his
but
sons
the-
as well.
But the first step is supposed to be the father himself. Aaron. The first is Aaron.
Fine, Aaron, but then his sons as well.
Of course.
Oh,
Of course. But they came forward and did it before the father.
oh, so
Yes,
you have this interpretation that you think that they did it before the father, and therefore,
Right.
because of that,
Because
okay.
God command first Aaron and children. Aaron and children.
Okay,
So he's the one supposed to be the highest of all of them.
right.
When God told Moshe that from now on your children have to take over,
Right.
and Aaron will retire. There was something else. He told him that.
Okay, but
But
you,
and notice that. But this is before all the people the first day.
okay, so you
It
feel
was
you see.
something special. The first day is something special.
So you're saying that they were not supposed to do it in front of their father. He was supposed to be the one, and Shalom.
And
And
there's no the rest of the children.
but the rest, okay.
But Rabbi Koka, we have to follow what Moshe, actually how Moshe established the service. We don't know, could have been permissible for the sons to go in front of the father. There is no written, but what is written here, that emphasizes alien fire
Oh.
and not commanded.
Right.
These are the two things which is all the focus comes to only these
Okay.
two.
Okay, and that was the sin.
Maybe
This
we
is the
should-
problem. We don't know if it's a sin,
Okay.
but this was the problem.
Okay.
that
That's
This-
what we want to know. What's the foreign, the island fire?
Okay, what's an alien fire?
Yeah. Well, what is it?
It's a fire that the Kadosh Baruch Hu did not command them to do.
And
It was
why-
something that they did by
Yeah.
themselves without.
And why would they do that? Like,
Oh,
what's
so
the
we'll
reason?
see. We'll see. The Mefarshim will speak about it.
Because, for example, sometimes Moshe
Yes.
did something that Hashem did not command him, and Hashem said, "You did okay."
Right.
And also, I think Pinchas
Okay, Pinchas.
also did something,
fine.
and Hashem recognized it.
So
It's okay.
Okay.
So if they did it because they want to do something more for Hashem,
Okay.
then
What's going on? Okay.
when
Fine.
you know when and when you, which one?
Okay.
But Rabbi Koka, the alien fire refers to the fire brought through from the Kohens. But in the beginning, the fire came from heavens, directly from God.
Actually, the contrary. We'll see. It's the other way.
And later, the Kohen were obligated to maintain the fire.
It's actually
Yeah.
it was the other way in this case. The 7 days, it was an earthly fire. Then the 8th day, and we'll see, and that's how some of the commentators learned the whole idea that actually the first 7 days it was an earthly fire, and the 8th one was not. We'll see how it is.
That could be different spices.
Different spices,
It
different.
depends.
Okay, that they were not commanded.
Yeah. Or something.
Or
Okay.
different blend of them or something like the mixture
Different
might not
blend?
be exactly what was commanded.
Could be. There's many things that we could say.
This
But-
is an example that it doesn't matter how high you are and how close you are to God, you cannot do whatever you want.
Oh, okay. So we're getting somewhere. Okay.
That's the point.
Very good. Okay. So the second question is, why is this sin so onerous that it merits such a severe punishment? Fine, they did something wrong. Let's say they did. We'll see what they did. But even if they did, to consume them by fire, that's, it's after all they served HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they were there. It's very harsh.
And in front of everybody too.
In front of everyone. There's a lesson there. Maybe they could have done it. I don't know. You want to do it.
Well, sometimes it was done in the darkness of night.
It could be
You know,
darkness
some
of
people
night. They
do
could
this,
be sleeping and not wake up. Whatever. There's many ways that Kadosh Baruch Hu could have taken care of that. Why would he do it in front of everyone? Is there a lesson that Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted to teach Am Yisrael through this punishment,
Yes.
this harsh punishment?
Well, first of all, in front of everyone, is God telling the people that everyone is important the same. And these people that are so high and important, these are the people that has to serve God. They didn't do the right thing. And it's for God to tell the people, even these people, there is no different, they're not more important than you.
Okay.
So for God to show the people that He meant it, He killed them.
Okay.
Because oh, he's a poor man, don't touch him. Oh, he's rich, or I don't know what. He's a superhuman being, and they're all the same.
In front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of God, there's no difference in the eyes of Hashem. Fine. So let's see. So we have a few approaches. The first approach is, on the one hand of the spectrum, there are commentators who do not believe that God would punish Nadav and Avihu so harshly over only a ritual-based sin. Some commentators says it doesn't make any sense for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to punish Nadav and Avihu because they erred, they made a mistake in the service of Hashem. Fine, they did something wrong. Okay. They took a foreign fire. Fine, I understand. But it's not because of that. There must be something else.
There is
that
lots
they
of
did.
Mefarshim that there is many
Oh.
things.
So let's
Shikorim
so let's look at what Rashi says. So Rashi says the following. Vatetze ish, a fire came out. Says Rashi, Rabbi Eliezer Omer, לא מתו בני אהרון, אלא על ידי שהורו הלכה בפני משה רבן. One interpretation that he says, in the name of Torah Kohanim, Rabbi Eliezer says that they were moreh halacha, they showed or they taught a law in front of their master, their teacher. Who was their teacher? Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe the master. And since they taught this halacha in front of the master, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to teach a lesson. What's the lesson? Don't do that. The teacher is in front of you, in front of a teacher. By the way, we learned that. This is what the Gemara learned from this. Whenever the teacher is around, your master is around, you don't say anything. If someone comes to ask a question, you can't say anything. Why? Teacher is there. You have to show respect for the teacher. If you don't, this is the lesson. The lesson from the Bnei Aharon is This is what happened in your status. You were such in a high status. There's no other choice but to take your life away because you did that. This is one thing that Rashi says. Another thing he says, Rabbi Ishmael Omer, in the name of Rabbi Ishmael, Shetuyei yain nichnesu lamikdash. They came intoxicated into the Bet HaMikdash. They drank some wine. They wanted to be jolly, they wanted to serve it, but you don't do that. When you serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it has to be done, right, when your mind is clear. And by the way, we learn many halachot from that. That when the Kohen is about to do Birkat Kohanim, he can't drink. And that is why, by the way, Mincha every day, we don't have Birkat Kohanim. Why don't we have Birkat Kohanim? In the morning, Tfilat Shahrit, if there is a Kohen, the Kohen does Birkat Kohanim. Mincha, he doesn't do Birkat Kohanim. Why? Because when he comes in the morning, did he drink anything? Did he drink wine? No, it's before Tfilat Shahrit.
The Russians, yes.
Okay. But the fact, but the fact is, if a Jew, he doesn't need to drink before. He could drink a coffee or tea, but he won't drink wine or lechaim before, and therefore could do Birkat Kohanim. By Mincha time, there's an issue. The issue is there's a possibility that the Kohen has lunch, and with his lunch, he had a nice bottle of whiskey or wine. He's going to come in he's going to do Birkat Kohanim, he's going to be walking, dancing all over the Echad. No, so that's why we don't. However, when on a fast day, the Kohen does Birkat Kohanim, Shahrit, and Mincha as well. Why? Because he doesn't drink. If he doesn't drink, he doesn't. We learn it from this. The fact is, and that is why, by the way, how do we know that this is what Rashi makes sense? That Rashi, that what he quotes makes sense? Because just after this, what is it talking about?
Why?
It's talking about Yain v'Shechar. It's talking about the Kohanim, that the Kohanim, when they come to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they shouldn't be intoxicated. So that's how we learn that. That's number two. Another thing is, these are the two
Name,
interpretations
the name.
that Rashi says. Okay, so this is one idea. The other idea is on the other side of the spectrum. You have mefarshim that say actually contrary. The fact is, Nadav and Avihu were punished because of what they did. They brought a foreign fire that HaKadosh Baruch Hu told them not to bring, and that was why they were punished, just because of that. And how do we know it? The fact is the Torah repeats it a few times.
Yeah, that's what the Torah said. The other of Mefarshim, it's where they got it from.
Where they got it from, that what?
The answer, like,
Oh, well, the one that says that don't drink wine, because since the Torah speaks about it immediately after.
yeah. And
And the other one, the fact is Moshe was there. Since Moshe was there and they were Moreh Halacha, they taught Halacha in front of him, so that was wrong as well. So,
yeah.
okay, so there's different ways of interpreting it.
If I can ask something.
Yes.
Rabbi Koka, why Moshe didn't stop them?
From doing that?
Yeah.
That's an excellent question.
Because they're kind of his students. They said, don't do it.
That's an excellent question.
Or the father even.
Yeah.
Or the father, or Aaron, or Moshe, why didn't they do it? Why didn't they stop them?
Because if you see your students doing something wrong, you will stop them. Isn't that right?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. Why wouldn't he stop them?
We can
Something to-
speculate.
We could think, I don't know. We have to look into that. It's a excellent question. But the fact is, what happens is, the Torah speaks about it a few times. It says in this week's parasha, right? Ish Zara, Kadosh Baruch Hu did not command them. Then also, it says in Bamidbar, and Nadav and Avihu died before the Lord when they offered a foreign fire before Hashem. Another time, and another time in Vaikra, in Vaikra, it says also, and they offered before God a foreign fire which God had not commanded them. So different ways, different leshonot, different languages, but the fact is it says it 3 times. So therefore, if it says it 3 times, it means that's why they were punished for what they did. On the other hand, the Ramban, Nachmanides, says something else. He says that Nadav and Avihu sinned and why? Because they challenged the Jewish belief, which is the oneness of God. They challenged the oneness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, how did they challenge the oneness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ehad, is one.
Yeah.
And they challenged that.
How they challenge?
How did they challenge that? Okay,
In
very
what
good.
way?
In what way?
I don't know.
The idea that Ramban explains that the idea of Ish, of fire represents Din,
Yeah.
justice. What did they do?
Judgment.
Right. What did they do? They took this pan with the incense to, in a sense, to counterattack the Din, the justice. And by doing so, what were they showing, says the Ramban? They were showing that in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in God, there's many mitot, as we know. There are many different qualities that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has, character traits that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has. And therefore, the problem was that for them, these character traits were not something that came from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It came from God, but however, it was different midot qualities that HaKadosh Baruch Hu had, and it was separated into these different character traits. And that was wrong. Why? Because everything comes from who? From one God. Whether it's good, or even if it's deen, if it's justice, it comes from something that is tov, that is all good. But for Nadav and Avihu, they did not understand that, says the Ramban. What do you mean they did not understand that? They thought that whatever, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a good side to him and an evil side. It's not true. And how did they do that? They wanted to show that we are here with the pan and with the incense, just to put it on top of the fire. Why? In order to show that this is the goodness, the tov of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that is coming to calm, in a sense, the deen, the justice of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And because of that, says the Ramban, they were punished. Why? Because you can't challenge the oneness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Everything comes from one source. Earthquakes and blessings, everything is from the same source. And you cannot start separating the source and saying, this is the source of evil, and this is the source of good, and this is the source of... Can't do that. Everything is echad, is one source, and that was their issue that was the issue that HaKadosh Baruch Hu had with them, and that's why they were punished.
They understood that. When they were together with Moshe, the 10 plagues and coming out, and this is what awkward for me.
Okay, so the Ramban says that this is, at least this is the way that he understands that. Now there are other commentators that say that Nadav and Avihu sinned by not following carefully God's instruction that prohibits earthly fire on the 8th, that prohibited earthly fire on the 8th day. And this is what the Rashbam and the Chizkuni say. I'll read you what the Rashbam says. The Rashbam says the following. He says that כשיצא האש ותאכל את העולה ואת השלמים של מזבח החיצון, כשלקחו בני אהרון והקריבו אש זרה על המזבח הפנימי, when the fire came out and it consumed the olah and the shlamim, the korbanot that were there, the offerings that were there, that were on the exterior, the mizbeach hachitzon, the mizbeach, the altar that was outside, the outer mizbeach. Then Bnei Aharon took this foreign fire and they brought it into the mizbeach hapenimi, the inner altar. ותצא אש מלפני השם להקטיר קטורת לפנים תחילה ופגעה בבני אהרון שם ומתו ואחר כך יצאה משה ובא על המזבח החיצון ותאכל את העולה. Anyways, this fire, says the Rashbam, this is what consumed them. But the fact is, on the 7th days, Bnei Aharon, the Kohanim, was supposed to do what? To create the fire. However, on the 8th day, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to show Am Yisrael that everything came from him. How would he show it to them? By miraculously bringing an esh, a fire from heaven. Now, by Bnei Aharon intervening, they took away this miracle, this idea that it came from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It diminished the whole idea. And because of that, they were punished. Why? Because they took away the kavod, the glory of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Since they took the glory of HaKadosh Baruch Hu had no other choice but to take their lives.
However, there was a tikkun. There was a tikkun. When Elijah the prophet, when he challenged Queen Isabel.
Yes.
And he asked God to show who is the real God.
Right.
And fire came from heaven straight to his Mizbeach.
Uh-huh.
And then he killed the 40 Kohanim, which the false Kohanim. It's like, sort of, my idea is to correct what happened.
Right, so,
Because it says
uh-huh.
Pinchas through Eliyahu.
Okay,
So Pinchas was a grandson.
right. So there's something there, okay.
Something like that. But this is the one that I remember that really far came from heaven.
Okay,
גם פנחס.
פנחס, yes.
with all the מחטוטות.
yes. Machtot also there, right, exactly.
Yeah.
Very good.
Jonathan ben Abraham has different theory.
Yeah.
What about if the death of the two sons was
Yes.
a byproduct
Yes.
because of the interaction between the holy fire and foreign fire? Because looks like
Okay.
it happened at the same time. The holy fire came and they were at the same time in the wrong time with with the foreign alien fire. And the holy fire could not tolerate the alien fire on that day. And
Oh.
there
Well,
was
that's-
engulfing, it's
Oh.
fight between the holy and
The foreign.
profane
Profane.
or alien,
Very good.
and they were just very close. They were holding the that fire, which is the alien fire, and this is because they burned. There was
Okay.
no other way.
Nice. Nice.
This can bring you back to the Moshe when he throw his stuff.
Yes.
It become a snake, and the
Yes.
snake ate the other snakes.
Yes.
Because his stuff was different than the other.
What
Very
you mean
good.
is consequences.
The consequences, okay. Very good.
Jonathan,
Yeah.
that was a laser.
It was a laser, right. Right.
Oh.
Right. Now, there is, by the way, yeah.
And also there is another kind of addition to that. Does it matter if they were Kohanim or not at this point? Because what about if somebody else grab a pan and get the spices and would have he died or not?
If you
Also-
saw someone else who's not a Kohen,
Yeah.
definitely a Zar, someone who was a foreigner, cannot get close to them.
They put him
Whoever gets close to them dies.
Yeah,
sure.
Dies.
The idea is, let's assume, the rules are set up. Moshe
Yes.
said this is the way to
Yes.
done the service to be done.
Yes.
Moshe did not expect that
Yes.
the two sons will get the fire and will go there.
Yes.
Let's just imagine that there is electrical fence for
Yes.
a moment.
Yes.
And they kind of ignore the electrical fence and they say, oh, we're Kohanim, we can do whatever we want. And they just, this was entirely their fault.
Oh.
Even though punished by God, but
Very
was
good.
their first step to be punished because God was presented there. He set up the territory, he set up the fire and the fence, and they should not go there. No, God was not waiting for them and to say, who will move now, I'm gonna kill, right? No, they did not follow the rules, and everything was holy at that moment.
Very good. Excellent. Very good. You're on the ball. You say something good. Excellent.
I should try to call it.
That's it. So,
They didn't have Doberman, the 100-pound Doberman to guard them.
right. So, another idea, and this is something I'd like to concentrate for a few minutes about, is that what Nadav and Avihu did wrong was that they did not follow the rituals of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of God. Let me elaborate. The Orach Chaim HaKadosh, later on in Parashat Shemini, speaks about this idea, and I'll share with you what he says, just for us to, as an introduction to what we're going to speak about for the next few minutes. In Parashat HaHarimot, after the Nadav and Avihu died, it says in the Torah, "Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe acharei mot shnei bnei Aaron bekorvatam lifnei Hashem veyamutu." Hashem spoke to Aharon, to Moshe, after the death of Bnei Aharon, the sons of Aharon, when they got close to Hashem and they died. So says the Orach Chaim HaKadosh. He says the following: ונראה שכוונת הכתוב היא שבא הקדוש ברוך הוא להזהיר את משה. הקדוש ברוך הוא came to warn Moshe about what? שלא יחשוב בדעתו, that he shouldn't think for a moment, כי לצד שהוא יותר קרוב למלכות שמיים, since he is so close to הקדוש ברוך הוא, משה רבנו, ובכל ביתו של המקום נאמן הוא, that wherever הקדוש ברוך הוא is, Who is his servant? The one who was close, the closest one ever? It's Moshe. ויכול להיכנס אל הקודש פנימה. And therefore Moshe could have thought, I could go to see Hashem whenever I want. I don't need any invitation. Me and Kadosh Baruch Hu are buddies.
No, not even him.
Not even him.
No.
אוקיי? והגם שיצב השם על אהרון, לא התחייב הדבר שגם משה בכלל, כי גדול משה, דכתיב, אם יהיה נביאכם וכולי, לא כן עבדי משה, שלה כן דיבר השם אל משה והוא אומרו, וידבר השם אל משה, פירוש אליו, בא מצווה ואמר לו, סמוך למיתת שני בני אהרון, דיבור זה בקרבתם לפני השם וימותו, פירוש, הגם היותם בני אהרון, זה לא החיים. He wanted to teach Moshe a lesson. How? The lesson was through the sons of Aaron. And that is why the Torah speaks about Moshe, that Hashem spoke to Moshe after the death of Bnei Aaron, the sons of Aaron. And what was the lesson? Even though they were the sons of Aaron, they were Kohanim. ובתוספת מרובה, היותם קרובים לפני השם. And since they were so close to הקדוש ברוך הוא, כמו שתלשו זיכרונם לברכה, פסוק בקרובי הקדש, ואף על פי כן לא חמל עליהם וימותו. Even though they were so close to him, הקדוש ברוך הוא had no pity on them, and they died. למדת שלא יועיל היות האדם כל כך קרוב לשם, כדי שיפרוץ גדר להיכנס לקודש פנימה. What do we learn from that? That even if someone is so close to הקדוש ברוך הוא, he cannot break the rules. And this is coming from the Orah Haim HaKadosh, Rabbi Haim ben Attar, who was known to be a great Mekubal Kabbalist. Even though he was a great Mekubal, a great Kabbalist, still he knew that there are rules and regulations. Sometimes we hear about these Mekubalim that are saying all types of things, and I want to teach the people certain things that maybe are contrary to what we know and tradition. So Chaim HaKadosh says, even Kabbalah, you could learn Kabbalah and everything, but there are rules, there are regulations, and therefore the sons of Aharon, there was an issue. And what was the issue? Even though they were so close, they did something that they were not supposed to do. Even maybe their intention was a good intention. It's very possible. Still, there are rules, there are rituals, and you have to follow those rituals. If you don't, Krovaya Kadesh, death.
An example for all generations.
An example for And this is why, by the way, he did it in public to teach Am Israel something. And we'll see how it is relevant to our days as well. Okay? And this is what he continues on. I'll continue with another paragraph of the Orah Haim. He says, עוד נראה לומר שנתכוון בעורר קרובתם על זה הדרך, בהיותם יותר קרובים לשם מכל. And what he wanted to teach Moshe and Am Israel is, even though they were the closest to him, הלמדת שאין קרובים מהם, שאם היה משה קרוב מהם היה הדבר נעשה בו. The fact is, they were even closer than Moshe, says the Orah Haim HaKadosh. And that is why it says, Bekorvatam lifnei Hashem, when they got close to Hashem, which means that they were the closest one, even more close than Moshe, and still they got this punishment of death. Now, how is it relevant to us? So, I want to come back about what I said a few minutes ago about the idea of rituals. We have HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us many rituals. The way of thinking, philosophy, could be different between me and my children, for example. Right? I could have a certain philosophy of how to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. My children might have, eventually, a little different one. However, there's something that unites me and my children. What is that? The rituals. And the proof is, what do we say in Kriyat Shema? ולימדתם אותם את בניכם לדבר בם, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך ויהיו לטפות בעיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. It's talking about teaching the children, which means that's the education, that's the next generation. And what unites me with my children through the education? Tefillin, ritual, mezuzah, ritual. This will never change. The mezuzah will never, always have a Jew will have a mezuzah on his door. Tefillin will not change. Tzitzit will not change. Why?
The Torah won't change.
Torah will not change. The philosophy might change.
Philosophy. But the
Okay?
Torah-
The Torah, the rituals that we have, will always stay. However, sometimes, right, we could have certain rituals that were maybe added later on. We just celebrated Purim. We celebrate Chanukah. We light Shabbat candles every Friday. This is something that was added later on. It's all rabbinic edicts, rabbinic mitzvot that were added. However, these are part of rituals as well. And this is something that unites the Jewish people. Imagine for a second if HaKadosh Baruch Hu wouldn't have done this harsh punishment, immediate punishment. What would Am Yisrael think?
That's the ritual.
They would think that rituals are up to interpretation. Each one could do whatever he wants. You want to have tefillin that are blue and white, rainbow color, have them. You want to have tefillin that are round or triangle, okay, with an antenna or whatever it is, go ahead and have it. You want to have 6 corners to your tzitzit? No problem. Why? Look at what they did. They didn't do exactly what HaKadosh Baruch Hu told them. Nothing happened to them.
It's still tzitzit.
It's still tzitzit. What's the big deal? You want to have not 4 strings, but 10 of them? Who cares? Why? Here's the proof. They didn't do exactly what HaKadosh Baruch Hu told them to do. Nothing happened to them. They could do whatever you want. What would happen with Judaism?
It will get lost.
It would get lost. Everyone would do whatever he wants to do, and la davar sof. There wouldn't be an end to it. What does HaKadosh Baruch Hu do? He has no other choice but to show in public, in front of all Am Yisrael, because don't forget, who was there in Petach Ohel Moed? Who was there at the entrance?
All the nation.
All the nation. In front of all the nation, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is teaching us a lesson. And the lesson is clear. You have those rituals, don't change them. If you change them, this is what happened to Bnei Aaron.
Is that what it means, like, ועל פני כל העם אכבד?
It could be, right? Okay. I will be honored. Right? What do you mean honored? You could connect it in the sense that this ritual has to be honored. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to be honored through the ritual that we had, the rituals that the HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us.
Just because they're very close to me, it doesn't mean I'm going to forgive them.
Yeah.
Boom.
Right. And that's it. And this is the idea. This is the teaching. So when we hear about all these different ideologies that are coming up that are contrary to what HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us, all these rituals, here is the answer. The answer is clear. And this is something that Am Yisrael has struggled with and is still struggling with it. There are all types of philosophies out there that want to teach us that, you know what? We have to get rid of certain rituals, we have to change certain rituals. It doesn't work that way. There are rules, there are regulations, there are rituals that no human being has the right to change. Even the one who is the closest to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bnei Aaron. Doesn't work that way. You do that, it's death. There's no other choice. Even though it's harsh, it's a harsh punishment. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to teach a lesson that is loud and clear. Do not change that. Again, when it comes to philosophy, it's a different story. Someone has certain philosophy when it comes to the state of Israel. You can have different philosophies. Some will be Zionist, less Zionist. Fine, something that you could debate, something that you could work, something that you could argue about. But there are different ways of interpreting that. there are certain things that there's no gray area. It's black and white, right? It's clear. And this is something that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to teach Am Yisrael, and this is something that is certainly relevant to us. These rituals were given by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and no one, even the greatest Chacham that you could find, has the right to change that. Even if it's certain rabbinic edicts that were made, you can't change that. That's the way it is. Right?
Just
And-
wonder how conservative reform understood it. The interpretation is
You know what?
They change everything.
We will not go there. But the fact is, at least as we are sitting here around the table, we have to remember that this is the message. The message is loud and clear. It's something that we have to practice in our own lives, and it's something that we have to educate our children as well. That we have to keep those rituals. This is something that has protected Am Yisrael from generation to generation, and this is something that will never change. I wish you all a lot of.
thank you very much.
So, Rabbi, how can you explain Pinchas that he killed, like it says, don't kill and all that.
Right.
He decided to kill those
Right. How did you do that?
Midianite.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
he
Zimri v'salu,
So
was
how
bibatsu.
yeah, so
He
this
did a
is-
terrible thing.
Well,
In front of the
no,
people.
I know, but I'm saying how,
but
when do you know
that,
you
but that,
can do such
oh,
thing and no?
you cannot.
Because it's very drastic too.
That's true, but you
Huh?
cannot do that. That's why.
I know, but
Right.
he did it.
But he did it because he was a kanai.
Yeah, I understand that. I
But
know.
no one, I mean, who is a kanai? There's not too many kanaim.
Yeah.
Because if someone is coming, as the Rambam says, if someone comes and asks a question, if Pinchas would have come and would have asked the question, the answer would be, no, you can't do it. And if he would do it, by the way, after he would ask the question, he would be chayav.
Yeah.
He would be liable for his actions. But since he didn't ask and he did it l'shem shamayim,
Okay, I understand the Shem Shamayim, but some people say maybe Nadav ve'Avihu also did it for L'Shem Shamayim.
No.
what?
The
the-
different
Yes.
issue is that
Oh,
this is a moral thing, that God told us not to mix
But-
with this nation.
and
so that this,
but this is exactly what the Or HaChaim says. The Or HaChaim says that even if they did l'shem shamayim, who gave them the right to deviate
Right.
from the words of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Pinchas had the right to do so. Why?
Why?
Because
Yeah.
he's a kanai, and a kanai is someone when he sees the Hilul Hashem, desecration of God's name,
Yeah.
he can't stand it.
So today you can say you have lots in Israel
No, you don't.
that are Kanaim.
No, no one is at that level at all.
No.
What happened today, whatever you see, there's always something personal in it. Even it's small, but there's something there. By Pinchas, according to what we know, according to what we see, nothing for him, no gain for him. He did it only lichvod HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? In the case of Nadav and Avihu, it was different. Why? Because no one gave him the right to do so. Even if we'll say that they did it really, l'shem sham, they had no right to do that.
well, Eliyahu did
Right.
it.
Huh?
Eliyahu did it.
What do you mean? How did he do
Eliyahu
it?
Nabi.
How?
The false Kohanim.
Yes,
They were Jews.
right.
And he asked, he killed them with the sword. He killed 4 of them when they
Oh.
put the altar.
Right.
And that's what they say,
Oh.
Eliyahu, Pinchas to Eliyahu.
Right. So the same thing. It's a
Yeah.
good. Right. Right.
He didn't
Right.
kill one man, he killed 40 of them.
Right. But that's kanaut. Also part of kanaut. 100%.
They
But
went to heaven with the horses. With the
right.
awesome thing.
It's amazing. But that's the idea. The idea is that even if someone is so close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you have rules. Follow the rules. You don't follow.
So when Moshe threw the Durot Abrit,
Yes.
how do you explain that? Because
And Hashem told him, Yashar kochacha.
Hashem yeah, I
He
know.
told him,
And
Chazal Baruch.
Hashem Atzmo
Right.
wrote it.
Yes.
Not just
Right?
that.
And then
But Moshe asked the people,
How
take
can
your
you-
sword and kill each other.
yeah, that's
There
different.
are 3,000
That's,
dead
that's what
because-
Hashem said. But
Right.
here Hashem wrote it
Right.
for Bnei Israel,
Yes.
and you decide by your own to break them.
Right.
You
So
know?
how come?
In a way, I know some explanation, but I'm saying it's such a
But that's
Oz
the thing. It's
do something because it's Hashem wrote it.
it's
you
a
know
very
what I mean?
fine line. It's a very fine line
Mm.
to know when is. Sometimes you have to take a decision. On a
Yeah.
split in a split
Of course.
a split second. Lahavdil, you can compare it, but in a sense, it's like a rabbi who is finding himself on the spot in a certain situation where he can't pick up the phone or send a text to another rabbi who is more experienced than him to ask him, what should I do? And he on the spot has to decide. Happens, right?
Yeah.
What do you do? What do you do?
Moshe is godly.
Mhm.
He godly. If he wouldn't do that, he probably have in mind that the God will punish the Jewish people in a much
yes,
more severe.
Yes, I know.
Well,
no, it's just that.
So he said,
המעשה עצמו כזה.
Yeah, מעשה.
מושג שזה.
But it,
what,
For sure.
what you would do?
me, but don't ask me.
You wouldn't want to be in those shoes.
I would not just that, but you
Yeah.
said God, that it's not God. Moshe told the people, take sword instead to kill your brother.
Right, but
Not God.
but
It wasn't good.
But at
No.
this point, looks like Rabbi,
No.
at this point, Bnei Israel did not deserve the tablets.
Right.
Was left with the
Yeah.
tablets.
right,
Everybody was wrong,
correct.
and
Yeah.
he said, "I
And
can't do
it
anything."
said, no, there is also explanation that if you wouldn't destroy it, Hashem would destroy Am Israel himself.
Yes.
But I'm just saying that
So,
it's just that so harsh when, you know.
That's
It is.
why-
There's no doubt. It's,
that's
it's
why you're
pretty
not
harsh.
working.
But
I know.
but
I'm not against it or something. I'm just trying to understand how.
It was a
But-
second, a split second. That is it.
but there is an interpretation that says that actually it became heavy. You know, it was very heavy.
Oh,
And he could-
I see. And he couldn't hold
He
it.
couldn't hold it. But the fact is, you could, in a deeper level. What do you mean he couldn't hold it? It means that he understood, right? That Am Yisrael was cannot marry those luchot. So it became heavy in a sense. Not necessarily even in a physical sense, but in a deeper level. He understood, you know what, I can't hold them anymore. It doesn't make any sense for them
But
to
he broke
receive
them. He
them
broke
because of what they did.
Moshe broke him.
It's also like Ma'amat Sinai.
Yes.
It says that Hashem say, if you don't accept my Torah, the whole mountain will be on
Right,
you.
right. So, anyways.
All that, I accept it.
I accept, that's it.
let's take it. Say it again.
I accept.
Okay, approved.
Approved.
Let
Trilililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililililil